Hi, this is BK Black Krishna from manforwars.com, where I'm promoting polite patriotism to help nice ladies and gents teach kids, look, talk, and feel great, and discuss and share great online info we all find offline. So lots of YouTube videos out there, podcasts, and so on. People are really listening to other people talk more than they're talking to each other, and it's a lot of times because people don't normally act nice enough to talk. And at manforwars.com, I've got more on that and what we can do about it. But this video is called Why Canadians Need Our Own Breitbart News. Politics is downstream from culture. Why Canadians need our own Breitbart News. Politics is downstream from culture. And that is a quote from the legendary Andrew Breitbart, a conservative pundit and journalist who was loved by everybody just because he had an engaging, gregarious style. He was always open to discuss and debate. He wanted to understand other people, and even people who supposedly hated him, if they had a chance to engage with him, ended up liking him. And that's the late, great Andrew Breitbart. And so I recommend, if you haven't heard any of Andrew Breitbart's classic speeches, they're evergreen, they're as good today as they were yesterday, you go on YouTube, you look up some top Andrew Breitbart talks or speeches or TV show appearances, and you get familiar with the man, and you'll see why he was such a compelling figure and a visionary who was ahead of his time. And living in this time now, so that he's passed a while ago, you can see, yeah, it's true. He was ahead of his time, and the way he thought is something that we can use more than ever today, because that's what it was meant for, to help us enjoy today and a better tomorrow. So shout outs to the late, great Andrew Breitbart, R.I.P. But his quote, politics is downstream from culture, basically means that political changes happen in your culture, where you live, in your city, state, or province, or country, but they don't just happen out of the blue. There are things that people will not accept if the culture doesn't change the way they think first. And so political decisions and political changes are downstream from culture. So there's a bill, for example, Bill C-89 in the province of Ontario, the largest province in Canada. Now, that bill says that if you as a parent don't agree to your 12, 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3-year-olds gender choice, if they're a boy that says they want to be a girl or a girl that says they want to be a boy, and they're your child who might eat crayons if you leave them alone, your child who one day wants to be a Tonka truck and the next day wants to be a Major League Baseball player, right? If you don't agree to their decision when it comes to changing their gender, then the state or the province of Ontario, the government of Ontario, can take that child from your house and put them into foster care. So if your little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old boy or girl says, you know what, I'm a boy, but I feel like I want to be a girl, even if they might change their mind in the next half an hour, the next day, if the state decides that, and you say, no, hold on a second here, you're young, you don't know a lot about this stuff, you may have heard some things somewhere, some propaganda somewhere confused you, you don't know that 90% of adolescents experiencing gender confusion, once they finish puberty, they typically say, hey, I'm glad I didn't change genders. I still like being in a man's body or a woman's body. At most, I'll be straight or I'll be gay. That's typically what happens. They're like, no. Even gay actor Rupert Everett, for example, among many, many examples, said the same thing. He's like, yeah, I dressed like a chick a bit when I was in high school and put on some eyeliner or whatever, but then I'm happy I'm a good-looking gay guy. I'm happy I didn't chop off my wiener and take girl hormones and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't fully developed into my body yet, right? And there's many, many other reasons why, kids who are having some gender-confused ideas should not be, A, exposed to a lot of that crap, so it confuses them and screws them up, and B, allowed to go through with it. It should be the obligation of the parents to say, well, we're going to help you out, and you can listen to us, or there should be some counseling available to get you comfortable in your own skin, not uncomfortable switching genders, because that doesn't make you comfortable either. A lot of times there's special care for transgender children. Oh, we need to have special care for transgender children. Oh, supporting it. There's hospital sort of advertisements there, supporting and caring for transgender children. Why do they need special support and care? Because they're not comfortable in their own skin. They weren't before because of the confusion, and they're not after because of the hormones and the whatever and the am I doing this right stuff. And that's for kids and even some adults who often experience depression. If it's not the best thing for you, it's probably the worst thing for you to try and experiment with or change your gender. And that's also why it's promoted by sort of richer, evil people who want to control us in the general sense, but you can look into that in more detail, because attacks on gender mean that we don't have self-respect, we can't feel happy, we can't respect each other, and we can't communicate well, so we are easier to control. Guys aren't straight up, cool with each other. Girls aren't graceful and attractive. That's all screwed up, so we don't respect each other. We can't act nice enough to talk, basically. And I bring all that up to say, how the hell did that happen? This law in the province of Ontario making headlines around the world. My God, they can take your little kid away from you because one day your little boy feels like wearing a dress because he saw mommy wearing one and he thinks it's funny or wants to make her happy or whatever. Next day he wants to be a truck. Next day he wants to be a ball player. Next day he wants to be a dinosaur. But no, they can take your kid away. Right? Maybe the teacher hears your kid say that, says, oh, I know what I got to do. Wait, call the alarm. Oh, I found him. Call the parents. Yep, your boy said in class he wanted to be a girl. It's like, hey, teacher, yesterday you said you wanted to be a dinosaur. Nope, that's it. Don't you argue or we'll take him away. How does that happen? How does it happen? How can they pass a law like that? Well, a lot of it is brainwashing people with culture first. This is okay. This is okay. Don't say anything about this. Everything's okay. Don't say anything. That's just that's how some people are. That's what they want to do. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, bang. Now it's here. Right? So that's an example of how politics is downstream from culture. And Breitbart News is a great place to kind of see that. See a healthy helping of politics and culture. And you need, with respect to why Canada needs their own Breitbart News, and you can go to Breitbart, BreitBart.com to see for yourself. I'm not saying you like everything there. That's not the point of this video, or liking everything anybody says or anybody produces or anything like that. Even your favorite artists or musicians. That's not the case. It's that there's good quality stuff there, there's a good variety of stuff there, and it can appeal to our Canadian human brains, if you are a Canadian, or people around the world. And there's a Breitbart Israel, a Breitbart London, Breitbart Europe. There's different Breitbarts out there. There's no Breitbart Canada yet, and we need either a Breitbart Canada or our own version of Breitbart as Canadians. And that's what I mean. You need to make the connection. They are not separate. If you don't make those connections, then you've got some issues there when it comes to understanding why political decisions are made and why everyone seems to be okay with stuff that a lot of people think is completely crazy, and how we're sort of brainwashed or our ideas are shaped into accepting these big political changes because culture changes us first. And it's also just plain harder to read. It's harder for us to kind of digest that. Crazy bad policy. Crazy bad policy. Crazy bad. Not supposed to get political. Not supposed to say anything political. Not supposed to do anything political. Not supposed to talk politics. Yeah, you know what happens? The establishment, the man, the people in charge or whatever, they make everything political, and then you don't talk at all. Because they make race political, gender political, this political, fashion political, that political. You should be able to do whatever you want political. Nobody should say anything political, so everything becomes political, and you can't talk at all. Right? So that's why you have to be able to talk politics and culture, and you have to be able to see the connection between the two. And it makes it easier to read, and it gives you a nice kind of diversity when it comes to consuming what's on one website. And a lot of websites do this. Breitbart.com just does a great job. So I'll give you an example. SpencerFernando.com. Spencer Fernando. This is a nice, hardworking young man out of Western Canada. And he's got a website where he discusses a lot of political issues. And he's got kind of a more conservative perspective, analyzing the weak, miserable, lying, bitchy man, Trudeau government, globalist, sellout, shill, and some of his acolytes and decisions where he gets the whole population confused into thinking we're racist, sexist, phobic, not the nicest people in the world, Canadians. migrants kept coming here, people kept doing what they want here, and so on. Like, it's garbage, but gets us all wrapped up in that. And so SpencerFernando.com does a great job of kind of breaking some of that down. But A, he's just one guy, and B, he focuses mainly on politics with his limited time and resources at his website. And so it's good stuff, but it can also just be a little hard to read because it's like, more depressing crap the government's doing to us, more depressing crap the government's doing to us. Pretty cool stuff that people are doing about that in terms of yellow vest protests and so on. But it's not as sticky as the type of stuff that we're typically used to. Even a newspaper is like politics, ooh, culture, ooh, celebrity, ooh, this, ooh, that, right? And so that's SpencerFernando.com. Again, I recommend it, but I'm saying Breitbart.com is something we can all learn from, and we could use as Canadians our own version of that, which has news from around the world, but has a Canadian focus, like Breitbart has news from around the world that's relevant, but has an American focus. And another great organization in Canada is Rebel Media. Rebel Media, therebel.media. Ezra Levant's great organization with his great team of journalists and pundits. And they do a great job, but they're mostly videos. And videos are great. I love a lot of Rebel Media videos, but a lot of times I don't want to watch an 8-minute or 10-minute or 15-minute video. I want to kind of fly through some things kind of quicker. Say, oh, this article, it might have taken 10 minutes to make a video out of that article, but it just took me 2 minutes to read it. And so I can digest things a little bit quicker in the Breitbart news format, which will have some links to videos and optional videos, but it's mostly shorter articles, a few hundred words, 500 words, 1,000 words, or whatever, sort of like an online newspaper style. Whereas Rebel Media doesn't really have that as much. It's mostly, you got to settle in and watch this video, and you can't do anything else. You can't go through it at your own speed, except unless you maybe double the speed of you watching the video. But I don't typically do that. I think that takes away. But hey, people can do that too if they want. But that's sort of a weakness of that. And it's the same thing with Infowars.com, and why I don't like checking out Infowars.com or Newswars.com, because if I click on something, I can't tell if it's a video or an article, and if I'm in the mood to just read stuff on my phone, like, you know what, I got a little bit of time, I want to take a break from being on the internet or doing here and there, going to work, do whatever, and I just want to read on my phone and catch up on some interesting stuff. Infowars.com and Newswars.com don't do that. I wish they had a little video icon or a text icon so they could explain clearly this is text or video, but they're also often video focused. So again, you don't get the same effect as you do when you're controlling how fast you read something, how much of something you read, do you get the gist of it, even if it goes, you can control all that better, and Breitbart.com is a great format to kind of copy to do that. And when it comes to Breitbart, as I said, they've got a great mix of serious and celebrities. They've got some stuff that looks like clickbait. They've got some strange stuff on there. And they'll do everything from, what American politicians are up to, what's going on at the U.S. border, to how Hollywood celebrities are freaking out, or how professional lying bitches in the media are making more bitches who make more bitches who make more bitches out of everyone, because they've got to just freak out like crazy over something. It's like, Trump tweeted this, I'm so freaking out. It's like, can't you just calm down and casually and calmly explain kind of what the issue you have is and what people can do about it? No, the point is to freak out and show how messed up and freaked out you are. That's the point. Oh, so you're supposed to do that and make us do that so we aren't people who we can respect either? Oh, that's terrible. And Breitbart.com helps expose that. Some of the media freakouts, which just are worth crapping on and laughing at, if you can find some way to do that, and Breitbart.com can help with that. Or celebrity freakouts, where you see woke Hollywood just melting over what's going on and trying to one-up each other in terms of how messed up they are. about something, as opposed to how mature and thoughtful and intelligent they are about analyzing something and making and providing a mature and thoughtful response. So you'll have, Trump tweet something and Judd Apatow going, I can't even take a crap because of you. I can't even do anything. Please stop tweeting. For the love of God, stop tweeting. Please, please. Oh my God. And then have other celebrities going, you see how upset you made Judd Apatow? This is crazy. This is unbelievable. I'm so. And then you'll have another celebrity. Do you see how pissed off you made Cher? And on and on and on. And Breitbart.com, can explain all that in some of their fun articles about it. And as the reader, you can have a great time laughing at these idiots who are often supposed to be idiots. Like they're paid to be idiots because that's what the culture is supposed to make them about Trump. As opposed to, look, Judd Apatow, you're a 40-year-old man and you're a world famous Hollywood director. You've got a beautiful Hollywood actress wife. You've got beautiful young children, as part of your family. Why can't you just calm down and just explain to me as a mature man what you didn't like about that, why it's wrong, how we should think about it as mature adults, and what we should do about it? Why is the point of your response to be freaking out and encouraging more people to freak out and then brag about how messed up they are by what they hear, as opposed to how informed and empowered they are and how they can inform and empower others, right? So Breitbart.com is a great place that I find to kind of explain, some of how professional lying bitches in the media are making more bitches who make more bitches who make more bitches out of all of us, and how we as mature adults who want to raise mature, confident, happy kids can kind of deal with that. They've got fun celebrity stuff too. When celebrities do stuff they like, or when they want to comment on celebrities or sports, there's a bit of that there. And it's an empowered conservative perspective at Breitbart.com in terms of having a mature and yet also fun approach to these things. There's also a bit of TNA. You'll have something like yesterday. I go to Breitbart.com to look at it quickly, and all of a sudden there's a shot of gorgeous model Emily Ratajkowski's ass hanging out. And what was the point of that? It was this hot model dresses in a thong with bunny ears for Easter, and how kind of crazy that is. They didn't go on and on about it, but I got a little TNA there on my conservative news site, and I was like, meh, she is hot, and that's a cool picture, and I'm not really an Instagram kind of guy who thirsts for that kind of stuff. But it's happened to be on this site, and it's like, bang, okay, that is a hot girl and pretty naked, and then this is really stupid. To say Easter, this is how I celebrate Easter. I put on a thong and I show my ass or my boobs to the world. See? This is how I celebrate Easter. It's like, well, that's kind of stupid, and they made fun of it a little bit. They also showed it, and that can be a good little bit of TNA for people out there. So it's not just serious politics, serious. You don't have to just do that. You can have a nice mix of politics and pop culture and serious and fun. And Breitbart.com, not every time, not every day, but most of the time, from what I've checked, does a pretty good job with that. And finally, if you want to sort of validate, how successful they've been, they primarily, I think they were the driving force. They were the ones who got President Trump elected in 2016. It was Breitbart News, BreitBart.com. Now, they were the main force behind getting Trump elected, from what I can tell, generally speaking, in terms of their articles, their analysis, their style of writing, their appeal to tens of millions of Americans, as well as people around the world. And they're sort of critiquing the mainstream perspective, but not going kind of all the way into being a conspiratorial perspective. And there's some validity there. There's some crap there too. But there is some validity in doing that as well. But they kind of walk that fine line between being critics of the establishment, and damn good ones, but also not veering that far into the conspiratorial stuff, save to sort of save the general idea of free speech when somebody is targeted of that realm, on occasion. And so you had Fox News, mainstream Fox News, conservative news in the U.S. That certainly played a part in getting Trump elected, though many people on Fox were never Trumpers, anti-Trumpers, and so on. But they did play a role. Some of the pundits on there and journalists and so on certainly did. And then you've got, and that's on the mainstream end. And then on the more conspiracist end, you've got Infowars.com, run by the venerable Alex Jones, 20 plus years, right 80, 90% of the time, kind of your gravelly voice, big brother versus big brother. We're not always going to agree, but I'll make more of a man of you than you are right now, and you'll be able to handle more crap than you can, than you could before, right? And he's that kind of guy. And they do some really good work at Infowars.com, often finding news that's reported but not repeated more likely to be truth than propaganda repeated everywhere, and then echoing or analyzing that on their site. So it's not just, I'm making stuff up. This morning I thought there was aliens living inside my ear. It's not that. It was in the New York Times. They said they were spying on Trump. They were wiretapping Trump in January of 2017. They said that. Then they never said that again. They thought you'd forget. But we have the article. We have the proof. We have the documents, right? And so a lot of stuff, his stuff is rare mainstream news that's reported but not repeated, or rare documents or things you can find that are primary source information, but that just aren't blown up everywhere. And of course, they do a bunch of original reporting as well. But I'll say that's what they do. So it's not just crazy making stuff up, thinking there's, Martians on the other side of the moon. It's more sort of looking at the media and analyzing kind of the spin from a higher level perspective, right? And a lot of times, if you don't know that there are rich, evil people out to get us, confuse us, mess with us, have their rich guy foundations fund activist groups that then divide and conquer us, then you tend to attack each other. Whereas if you do understand that, oh, wait a minute, there is this, bigger cabal or different cabals of super rich people, kind of like the mafia controls New York City. They may not always work together, but they also don't want to shoot each other all the time, because that would suck, end up dead or in jail, or ruin the game they're playing of how the mafia controls New York City. That's kind of like how the globalist mafia controls the world. Some of the super rich oligarchs. They compete in business, they compete for this and that. They may shoot each other under the table once in a while, but they don't want to upset the whole crap game. As a famous pundit, Rupert, I forget his name, late great Rupert, I forget who said that. But the point is, yeah, like mafia gangsters, they may shoot each other under the dice game or craps game once in a while, or poker game, but they don't want to ruin the whole game that makes them all rich. Right? So that's how you can think of kind of the globalist mafias trying to control countries and centralize their control over the world with the UN and other international organizations, versus nationalists trying to protect their countries, not race-based specifically or whatever, but protect the vibe of their house party, which can include demographics. It doesn't not include demographics. You don't want to go to Sweden and say Sweden would be the same if we had only 11 million people, but we replaced them all with 11 million Japanese people or black people or Hispanic people. We would still be Sweden. Everything would be the same. That's stupid too. Right? So demographics, when it comes to race, culture, and ethnicity, and so on, heritage, do play a part in the vibe of where you live if it was any good and you want to save it. Like the country of Ireland, 5-6 million people. You can say, well, we'd still be Ireland if all these people here were Americans or Canadians or Swedes or blacks or Jews or Hispanics. It wouldn't make a damn difference. We'd still be Ireland. It's like, that's bullshit, right? So, it's about saving kind of where you live if it was a good place to live, as opposed to going, yeah, sure, whatever. Let's not talk about anything because everything's political and now we just can't talk. That's stupid, right? Anyway, the proof of Breitbart's success is in part them appealing to tens of millions of Americans and helping to get Trump elected, and them being arguably the main news organization that did that, and that's why they've been under significant attack since, along with Fox News, Infowars.com, and of course dozens and dozens or hundreds and hundreds of other groups out there, challenging the establishment narrative and appealing to people who then reach out to other people and respect each other for challenging this BS instead of being scared to talk about it, and then getting better politicians and better policies. So when it comes to Canada, it's very, very similar. This is why Canadians need our own Breitbart news, because politics is downstream from culture. And if we can get this type of style going with Canadian politics, which can be boring. It can be really boring. I've read the paper before, the Liberal paper, the Toronto Star, the Globe and Mail. The National Post is more conservative, but whatever. This stuff is boring. Really boring. So boring you don't want to pay attention to it. Why? Because then you won't pay attention to it. Like, I don't want to get political, it's boring. I don't want to get political, it's boring. I don't want to get political, it's too serious, it's depressing, it's boring. They're going to do what they do, I'm just going to do whatever, right? Until, as I said in the beginning of this video, they pass a law that says they can take your kid away if your kid tells teacher in class they want to switch their genders, and then, you can't say anything about it, and if you do, you try and stop it, they'll put them in a foster home and throw you in jail. Right? So that's why you still have to pay attention to politics. You just have to find a way to make it interesting by getting interesting people to share politics and pop culture and other issues in an interesting way that can appeal to a lot of people the way Breitbart.com and Breitbart News does. And there you have it. So anyway, BK Black Krishna for manforwars.com. Feel free to comment, subscribe, get in touch, or donate to the Man for Wars efforts. There's links below, and check out the manforwars.com website. Otherwise, I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.